Hello, Brian here again to talk about my 2020 Ducati Monster 821. This should be video number 5. I want to talk to you today about more about this machine. Last video I talked about, is it a good beginner bike in my opinion? So check that video out if you are really new to riding and you want to get on a Ducati and you think the 2016 up and above, 2022, 23 Ducati Monsters are what you want to get. Watch that video and then just use your best judgment. But I want to talk to you today about, because this bike is relatively new to me. I have 40 plus years experience riding, all the way from, when I was little and I rode 50s and 60s, 2-strokes, all the way up to CR 125, YZ 450s, YZ 426, YZ 250Fs, and street bikes ranging from, street bike 350 all the way up to an 1100. I worked at Ducati, and so I rode all the bikes, even modified race setup bikes like the Ducati Diavel. At the time they had a drag racing bike that they were trying to beat their record, the fastest quarter mile Diavel at that time. And so I rode that thing. Was a monster. I mean, it was a true monster. This is a monster, but that was true monster. And this is also pretty monsterish if you think about it. But I took it on a trip. I just wanted to make the current video and express, I've got some viewers. I don't have a lot because my channel is very diverse. And when you have a diverse channel, it doesn't get out to the viewers that specific viewers for specific content when you've got 10 videos or 5 videos or 2 videos. I have a lot of reptile, love my reptiles, love my Infiniti Q50 3.0T, amazing car, still have it, and work and do modifications on that. So if you're interested in that, I've got that channel. I've got a section of my channel, put it in better terms. But I took this bike on a 110-mile trip for one of my photo jobs, just to, ride the bike, put some time on the highway on it, and I just want to share that experience. So we're going to do that now. All right, to share what I found out. As I've mentioned in other videos, this bike rides very, very hot, and I am in the city environment. A city of cities. I wouldn't compare it to New York traffic, the island of New York, that we all see on TV and movies, that type of traffic. But it's not far away. There's lots of people moving here, lots of cars. It's way overpopulated, and lots of lights, and so the bike not getting able to move at any certain speed, it heat soaks. That's a term, that we use in some other forms of videos that I do with equipment. It heat soaks, and then it's hard to get rid of that heat soak if you don't get up to 60 or 70 for, a good 5 minutes. It tends to heat soak and stay heated. And then it just gets repetitive when you stop light at light to light, and it just gets really, really hot. But I got to test out the, in one of the last videos, I put it in urban mode, and I consider that for riding around the city. It made it shift a little better. I think it made it run a little less hot, but not by much, but by a little. The Nazi shifting got a little better. Cruising around at 4,000 to 5,000 RPMs. Seemed to do pretty well, rather than being on sport mode, where it was a little more problematic. So just keep that in mind. I think these electronic maps that Ducati has done actually do something compared to some of the things in some of the cars that I've experienced, shift modes and different performance modes. This is definitely changes some of those parameters that actually help you. So I put it in touring mode and toured on the highway. And this being a naked bike, I don't find it a problem. I just want to express to people, it's 70, 85 miles an hour in that range. The wind is not that big a deal. I mean, you get on a motorcycle for wind. and for the experience, you know, and just how everything that goes along with that. So having this full-fledged front fairing where you can ride it and smoke a cigarette, it's just not realistic in my terms of motorcycling, you know, and listen to the radio and basically put your suntan lotion on and just ride on a big cruiser, fat Harley with big massive fairing. It's not bad. And then it cruised well. I mean, and of course a little bit of the heat goes away because you have so much flow going. The bike runs cooler. It runs about in the 190s. And everything was really good with that. So I've experienced the sport mode, the urban, and the touring, and I think it's legitimate that when you're doing different riding that you may consider shifting into that. And I'm actually learning how to use, you know, the controls on the left side of the handlebar there to kind of easily do it, you know. Not super intuitive, and you got to flip through the menu to exit, you know, and that's a little extra, you know, time that you got to spend. But the bike handled really well on the highway. Like I said, I rode 110 miles. I had 2 sets of different backpacks on my back, and it wasn't terrible. It got kind of warm on my way home in the afternoon, and of course traffic, you know, around here in Dallas starts at like 6:30, 6-ish a.m. and goes to about 9, and then you've kind of got some time in between there, and then about 4 to about 7:30 or 8 traffic is, you don't want to be traveling around much, going to certain parts of Dallas. You know, neighborhoods are okay and stuff like that, but some of the major roads to get to other locations, destinations in Dallas is a no-go, and be terrible if I had to do that every day. But everything went pretty well. I got a little warm, and but you know that's just part of the nature. This is a Ducati. The Italian bikes and the Italian cars like Ferrari. I remember being a little kid and, Dad, why don't you get a Ferrari? You know, never even thinking about price because you're a little kid, you know. And my dad was like, son, my dad was in real estate, so he knew other really prominent people that actually had Ferraris in the 80s and the 90s, and he was like, man, those things run so hot and get overheated in traffic, and they're just not made for Dallas, Texas traffic. And he said it's just not practical car. And I was like, you know, I was a little kid, I was like, oh, okay, you know. But the Italian bikes, I haven't had a lot of Italian bike experience. As far as the other Italian bikes go, I've always been pretty much predominantly a Japanese owner of motorcycles. They deal with everything really well, and they're really smooth, where this is just a different machine, but it has a lot of personality. It's got the Ducati name and the Ducati look, and so a lot of people, you know, that's the choice, and I understand that, because that's why I bought a Ducati, you know, to be a part of the club. I worked at Ducati, and I didn't own it. I owned a Japanese bike at the time, and they frowned upon my Japanese bike. I won't go into that detail, but now, you know, I learned so much from those guys from AMS Ducati, and I always wanted to apply it. And, you know, and someone said, what kind of bike do you ride? And, well, I ride a Ducati now, you know. It's like, it's a great all-around bike. You just got to pick and choose when you ride, so that it's not, you're just not running in the 90+ degree heat. You know, a lot of videos that are on YouTube, a lot of those videos are from overseas in Britain and Europe and different places. I'm not going to name everything because I'm not that good at naming all the different places. But they're on smaller roads, less traffic. I mean, some of them look like 1-lane roads, where we have 9-lane roads. And they're passing carriages with horses, and people riding horses down the 1.5 wide streets. And it's just a different climate there, and the stoplights is nothing like it is here in the congestion. So these bikes just are probably designed and made to be in that environment versus my environment. But it doesn't mean they can't be ridden here. But that's as far as the update on this video. I was thinking, what else? I put my Termi baffles in. That might be interesting for some. I had them without the baffles. They come with baffles or without. They probably come with them installed. And the machine is very, very, very loud. It's not like 2017 Mustang GT with no exhaust whatsoever. That's just lunacy. But when you're cruising, you know, it reverberates off everything, off all the glass, and it's not so that it's so loud, it's just that it carries, and it's just that tone, that bass tone, that just ricochets off everything, and so it creates a louder sound than what I think it is. So being here in Texas, I try to find times to ride that are not during the sunny times, you know, the hottest part of the day. And you know, and me being 52 years old, I'm a little bit more considerate than when I was 20 and screaming down the road with no exhaust on my car and you know, loud exhaust on my bike. And so I don't want to do that to people. I'm a little bit more interested in, you know, environment and just not being totally in pollution of noise and sound that just you can't think. So I put those back in, and I'll do a comparison video, and I'll insert that here. There are my inserts in there. You can see that the little screw, the nut and the screws over here, and the baffles just decrease the size of the internal. And there's also in there, I don't know if you can see, but there's a little bar up and down. I don't know, it's thin. I don't know how much that has to do with cutting down the overall exhaust noise, but it does. It's not drastic, but it takes the bite off of it. I don't know if you can tell from the video, but I put my mic in the same spot, and I don't rev my bikes to the moon when, you know, I'm just sitting in neutral, and I'd give it a couple quick blips, and hopefully you could hear a sound difference. But there is definitely it's definitely muted, and I feel like I can ride at all times, day and night, you know, 2 a.m. in the morning, and not have to tiptoe around. So probably lost a little bit of performance, you know. If I do my draggy, you know, GPS draggy device, little black device that is real popular with cars, then maybe that might, you know, when I do those times, that might hurt the performance a little bit, but maybe I can take those out. Maybe I can do a video if someone wants the installation of those. It's pretty simple, but if you're not mechanical and you are not in the motorcycle industry, then you may not just know how that works, and it may be a little confusing because you just can't envision it in your mind. So before, I like to watch videos myself and just get an idea of what I'm getting into. So maybe that might be helpful for someone that wants to take out the baffle in the rear canisters on the exhaust, and you can put those in and keep them, so you can replace them if you want to. Okay, other than that, thanks for tuning in, and I appreciate you watching my content. And if you found it helpful, or you liked it, or it was entertaining, please consider giving it a like. That'd be helpful. It just gives me the opportunity maybe for my videos to be shared with more people. And if you are interested in seeing more videos on this 2020, you know, 2019, 18, you know, 2021, they switched to a whole new bike, and this is not that bike. And so if you want to, you know, click that bell notification, and then you can get more content on this as I do it from purely an owner standpoint, unbiased, what I like and what I don't like. Okay, thanks for tuning in. Catch me on a future video, and bye-bye.